Arisen from the grave, it would seem, BlackBerry has finally found itself back in the mobile scene with a new device and a new OS after a very long period of finding itself. The Z10 is the culmination of all of this, a full-touch smartphone kitted out to compete against an army of Android and the dominant force of iOS. While a lot can be said about the reputation of BlackBerry in the past, it's the future that seems hazy if the new OS and its launch devices fail to sell. So let's get stuck into the Z10. The market trend is definitely in favour of a full-touch mobile experience, and BlackBerry thankfully saw that and made the Z10 its launch partner and not the Q10, which is far more conducive with BlackBerry's old full physical QWERTY keyboard devices. Fans of the company actually probably had more interest in the Q10, and it felt lacking not to launch with both. But the design of the Z10 is smart. It's a simple shape, very reminiscent of the iPhone, and the front panel will make you perform a double take to ensure it isn't such a device. But it is definitely larger and thicker, but with a lovely symmetry to its face and sides that makes it beautiful to use and hold. The matte black finish on this device follows through to the vertical sides. It has a lovely soft touch texture and holds the design well with the display embedding into the chassis to give a streamlined look. The rear panel has a defined seam and removes easily from the speaker grille at the base of the device. It is a very thin plastic pane with a soft touch dimpled surface that gives a rubberized element. It clips securely back in place, and then the Z10 feels very solid and strong at 137.5 grams. The only physical button on this device is the volume rocker and voice activation key on the top right hand side that are metallic and easily distinguished from the sides, which I always appreciate, and the unlock button at the top center, which has a very sturdy click. Next to it is the headphone jack and a microphone, and on the left hand side is the micro HDMI slot and the micro USB port just below. The front face is very sleek and attractive while a little unoriginal. The top line has a speaker and just below houses the notification light, in the top right hand corner next to the front facing camera. The bottom line of the display also sees another microphone. The rear facing camera is very neatly positioned in line with the rear panel, but without a great deal of protection from scratches. The Z10 covers all bases with its specifications to ensure it's competitive in the current market. It boasts HSDPA and LTE connectivity, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, micro USB and micro HDMI to ensure that this device can connect in any possible way to share its contained media. Disappointingly at this stage, it doesn't support USB mounting, but rumour has it a future update may bring that ability. It comes installed with 16 gig of internal storage, but can be bumped up by a 32 gig micro SD card. However, apps and games can't be pushed to it, only photos and videos. While the rear panel is off, we best discuss the battery. It is a removable 1800 mAh battery, which didn't give much in the way of daily performance. On continuous HD video playback with the display at full brightness, the Z10 died at just over 4 hours, which is on the lower side of mediocre. With moderate daily use and LTE signal, with syncing mailboxes every 15 minutes, light internet browsing, hourly messages, a phone call here and there, and plenty of standby time, I needed to charge it at about the 8.5 hour mark. This does blow out by a couple of hours when the brightness is lowered and using mostly Wi-Fi for data. But you need to manually adjust settings to improve battery performance. There isn't a quick setting to do this for you. Keep a charger handy. The new OS is driven by a Qualcomm Snapdragon dual-core 1.5 GHz Crate CPU that delivered efficient load times and a swift UI performance, and coupled with an Adreno 225 GPU to ensure gaming was fluid and inviting. The key to the fantastic OS was the 2 GB of RAM that meant multitasking was never staggered and the Z10 could handle easily any workload. The call quality and level of reception was particularly excellent, no drop signals or issues from either end. To ensure the user experience worked well, BlackBerry gave the Z10 a modest 4.2-inch TFT LCD with a resolution of 1280 by 768. This works out to around 355 pixels per inch, which regardless of newer 1080p displays is still excellent. It was superbly bright with beautiful whites, terrific contrast and very accurate color reproduction and viewing angles. It was truly one of the best displays I've seen, and I didn't expect it to come from a BlackBerry device, to be honest. The accuracy of touch was spot on and sensitive enough to work with material gloves. The new BlackBerry 10 OS is a significant step up from the brand's roots. It picks up the idea of a gesture-driven experience where the playbook left off. This is a long software review with such a unique OS, so bear with me. Like the playbook, swiping up from the bottom bezel can actually unlock the device if enabled in the settings. One issue I did have is that due to the sensitivity of the display, with this enabled, the phone unlocked from time to time in my pocket when I was busily walking around. It also booted the camera app from the lock screen, which is the only shortcut available here, and started snapping shots. Once inside, the OS is based around the active frames page, which is essentially the multitasking window. 8 applications can be active here and are knocked off the list as subsequent applications are opened. A clear all button isn't available for running applications and never really required, as the device never struggles with only 8 running apps. The active frames display what is going on inside that app almost as a reminder to you, but in a lot of cases it is in a defined information state as set by the app author and never dynamically updates like widgets or Windows Live tiles. To the right are any number of application panels, and this can be organized simply like on iOS. Very limited customization is available, and the general look of the application pages is a little boring like iOS as well. At the base of this page is a quick launch for the phone application, camera, and universal search. Universal search looks for all relative information on the device, including social media accounts as well as the web. If I came up with an idea I wanted to Google quickly, this ended up being my go-to. A swipe down the top bezel displays the settings as well as some toggles. Why these toggle selections were the only ones added, I'll never know. It should have given a brightness slider, NFC toggle, and much more, and filled the page. Because that space isn't reserved for notifications, because the notifications has its own section. Continuously swiping across takes you into the BlackBerry Hub, the notification and message heart of the BlackBerry 10 OS. This is where a significant portion of your time will be spent, and I am so thankful that this hub is aesthetically as well as functionally robust, timely, and most important, is actually a one-stop shop. All of my accounts are here with plenty of options and settings that are context specific depending on what page I'm on. I can quickly gesture to go back to the list of available accounts or slowly button press my way. Navigation is a breeze. However, if I enter an inbox, open a conversation, back out of that conversation with a swipe, and then want to go back, I logically found myself swiping the opposite direction. Unfortunately, this takes you to the active panels page. This is a wasted gesture because the fundamental rule of the BlackBerry 10 OS is that the active panels page is the centric platform for which the whole OS, from every application within the OS, a swipe from the bottom bezel upwards takes you to it every time. The OS is designed around multitasking and achieves this well. The only issue I had is that sometimes you do waste a tiny bit of time fishing for if the application you require is still active, because the active panel display isn't displaying the icon you would normally look for. In this case, I found the second page down of running applications wasted on me. The other major gesture will take you from anywhere in the OS straight back to the BlackBerry Hub. This is achieved with a swipe upwards from the bottom of the screen and then shifting the finger to the right. If this gesture is held on screen, it allows peeking, which doesn't close the running application to see what notification type you just received. It's a brilliant use of space and fluidity. One tip I will offer: I hated when I went into the BlackBerry Hub only to be taken to the last open email or message, so I always closed right back to the bottom page of the hub before continuing my normal use. This isn't a nuisance because it's a really quick gesture to take you back to the contents of any application. A number of key included apps are found with the OS. One thing I will say, and it's reiterated time and time again, while everything about the BlackBerry 10 OS is polished and laid out in a fairly simplified and easily navigated form when learned, the ability of applications and the available settings and customizations is only just at the level of the competition. Everything you need is here, just not to the same extent. BlackBerry messaging has grown up by allowing video chat and messaging once again amongst those with the new OS. But convincing everybody to switch over is a hard task, because while BlackBerry World has plenty of applications, the amount of great ones you've come to love on other platforms is just not there. Especially quality games. There are some, yes, but not what I'm looking for. I found myself having to save plenty of mobile web page shortcuts to the home screens in order to simulate, for instance, the Instagram app. The contacts and phone applications are brilliant. The layout is simple and gives me all the information the Z10 could possibly gather about that user from the web. And when calling somebody, you can call up the ability to take a note, invite another caller into the conversation, start BBM video chat, or just continue to use the OS as standard. Applications that it definitely nailed were the calendar, which I found very pleasing to the eye and easy to use because of it. As well, the file manager, print to go, and calculator because, well, how the hell do you stuff that one up? And of course, docs to go, where you can view, edit, and create Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents. While it says you can't create a PowerPoint, you actually can by uploading a blank PowerPoint presentation that you can then go off and edit. The second best application was Maps. It is the lesser to even Apple's efforts, as it is a more simplified variant that doesn't have support for satellite imaging or street level view, but it works so efficiently and effortlessly. Finding a location is the first step. Once found, you go straight to navigate and then start. I found it one of the cleanest and best performing GPS guided driving experiences I've ever had. I used it all regularly because it was so perfect. But hands down, the best application, well, part of an application, goes to the keyboard. Shock horror, BlackBerry excelled at a keyboard. I found the accuracy to be unparalleled, especially as the touch sensor for each key actually shifts with time based on your touch characteristics to make it even more customized and functional for the user. The predictive text is fundamentally flawless in design. In practice, it's even better. Whole sentences can be pieced together with gestures, and this improves with time as the OS learns your individual language use. The worst application is voice control. It looks and functions the same as Siri, but could never understand a single message I tried to dictate when there was even the slightest amount of moderate background noise. Completely quiet rooms could come through with pretty good results, but I don't use voice control when I'm just lounging around. Siri, on the other hand, I have used many times to send messages on the fly and worked flawlessly. With the brilliant display comes with it the requirement of plenty of media. Videos look beautifully and function with a few settings options, but less than other systems. Audio was one of the best parts. The speaker is very loud, very clear, and better than most devices bar the likes of the iPhone. Even the very cheap feeling included headphones gave fairly reasonable audio quality, which took me back. One weird lacking feature was the ability to create photo albums within the Pictures application, but an included editing program for the photos can create very cool and unique images, but they do this thing where the device will recognize if the image is a person or not and will blank out functions like red eye correction because, oh no, it isn't a person. And BlackBerry really advertised this feature as well. I kind of feel like maybe they should have put that little bit extra time fleshing out their other applications rather than including gimmicky features that aided the consumer in no way. The HTML5 based browser on the Z10 is completely user friendly and very fast as well. Thoughtfully, BlackBerry understood the need for Flash Player support and included a toggle in the settings to enable the full desktop web experience. The cameras are 8 megapixel at the rear with an LED flash, and the front is of the 2 megapixel variety. I know what you're thinking, BlackBerry probably half-assed the cameras. Well, they didn't. I found image quality to be excellent. I loved the sharpness, the color reproduction, the level of noise was low in most instances, except very dark scenes, and in a lot of cases it was better to go with auto mode. Not like you do have much of a choice here. Settings within the applications are very limited, but in auto in all cases worked perfectly fine for me. The shutter was incredibly quick, but autofocus could be a tiny bit hit and miss, so it paid to wait for the Z10 to find a stable focus point. You can't manually select a focus point either, which sucks, and there aren't any bells and whistles like panorama. See, I told you most of the applications were polished but lacking in one way or another. Time shift would highlight captured faces and allow you to swap that moment that person's face was at a few frames before and after the actual shutter was hit. This means you now have a fair chance of getting everybody smiling and with eyes open. The front-facing camera also took really good photos, better than a lot of other top-tier Android devices lately. But you can check out all the photos and videos at the KABOOtech Facebook page by hitting the link in the description below. I want so badly to tell you that the Z10 was going to be my next device. I really liked the design choices they made on the outside and the inside with the OS layout and color theme. I'm going to struggle without the BlackBerry Hub and the added encryption security, and I will feel unsatisfied with any other device's keyboard from here on out. But the lack of customization, the stagnant design of the application pages and sparse options within the settings and application functions means that it just can't compete with iOS and Android yet. It is really disappointing because they did something compelling with gesturing and multitasking, connectivity, and they polished an OS that was clean and simple and would be so appealing with an app store that was fleshed out and built-in applications that offered something unique. Everything is better in hindsight, but iteration will be BlackBerry's best friend at this stage. If messaging and connectivity is more important than a rich array of applications, then the Z10 is definitely for you. What is included will achieve what it needs to, and it does it amazingly well. I only wish this device launched a year ago. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Kurt from KABOOtech. Thanks for watching.